So let's start our meeting, and we will be recording. So you'll have the YouTube that will be sent out to you after the meeting. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Safe Streets Coalition meeting. We're glad that you chose to join us today, either by Zoom or by phone. Of course, due to COVID, we aren't able to meet in person, so we provide the meeting to you by Zoom. And as I mentioned, the YouTube link will be sent to you in a few days, and also a survey. So it would be really helpful if you could fill in the survey and email it back to me. This helps us to determine what subjects you would like to be covered at our meeting. The PARS Safe Streets staff joining us today are Michelle Voth, Executive Director of Prevention and Resiliency Services, Lynn Smith, Community Prevention Consultant, Irene Caballero, Grant Coordinator and Bilingual Community Mobilizer, Michaela Butterworth, Education and Communications Specialist, and I'm Judy Wilson, Office Manager and National Night Out Program Coordinator. So please contact any of us if we can be of help to you at any time. The agenda today is published just for your information there. So the first thing would be our Champion of Character. And we're happy to have with us today John Buckendorf, who is the principal at Highland Park High School, and he'll present the award to AJ, and AJ's on as well. John?
Okay, so first off, I'd like to thank the Safe Streets Coalition for recognizing AJ, one of HPHS's outstanding students. And I will just read the recognition they sent me first. And as the strength of our nation is dependent upon the health and safety of its communities, the strength of our community is dependent upon the character of its citizens. Topeka City of Character and Safe Streets Coalition of Topeka and Shawnee County recognizes the Johnny AJ Cooper, our Champion of Character, for February. On the morning of November 3rd, 2020, there was an automobile accident in front of the Highland Park High School building in which a vehicle was overturned. The accident was witnessed by several students on their way to school and many onlookers. One of our HPHS students, AJ Cooper, witnessed the accident and jumped in to help the individuals trapped inside the overturned vehicle. He climbed into the vehicle in order to help a toddler out of the car, as well as the family dog. AJ is studying animal science at TCALC in the mornings, so he has a soft spot for animals. During the intervention, AJ sustained minor cuts on his hands from the broken glass, but was fine. When asked why he decided to help, he stated, because it was the right thing to do and somebody needed to help. If I was in the same situation, I would want someone to help me. Johnny AJ Cooper is being recognized for demonstrating responsibility, benevolence, and initiative. Demonstrating responsibility and benevolence and initiative makes a Johnny Cooper a Champion of Character, dated February 3rd, 2021, by the Topeka City of Character Safe Streets Coalition. So, you know, yes, definitely, he's definitely to be applauded. And I'm only sorry that he's not be able to be here in person today, so I can give him this, but we will set up a time, AJ, later for you to come in person. And I know Topeka Fire Chief Craig Duke wanted to say something, if that's possible.
Sure.
Thank you, Principal. Thank you. What I found out about this was just a couple of days ago. I was actually calling Safe Streets to recommend two individuals for this Champions of Character Award when I found out that AJ, what he had done, and I was taken back by a young man like him stepping up like this and helping others within his community at a very serious time during that motor vehicle accident. And I just wanted to recognize him on behalf of the fire department. And what I want to do along with as principal is to come to the school someday and personally present these to him. What I have here, for one, if you could see this, AJ, this is a commemorative glass for the 150th year from the City of Topeka Fire Department. And also we had a 150th commemorative coin that I will be taking to your school hopefully someday soon to also give you this in also a certificate of appreciation for what you did on that day to help that family in a time of need. It's young people like you give me faith in the future of Topeka that you do stuff like this, and hopefully you will meet your goals and your dreams with your education. Consider the fire department as one goal. I'm recruiting here, AJ, so if you feel in any way inclined to learn more about the fire department, obviously we would talk to you about it. And again, I'd like to say well done for your efforts on that day on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And we at Highland Park High School couldn't be more proud of AJ. Like Chief said, oftentimes people in a situation like that, where there's several bystanders standing around, usually won't jump into action, but AJ taking that initiative and jumping into action because he saw a need. We hope to be able to instill that in all of our Highland Park High School students. So thanks again, AJ.
Thank you, John. AJ, would you like to make any comments? I think you're on as well. Okay.
No, AJ's pretty soft-spoken and a man of few words, but definitely a man of action. So again, thanks, AJ.
Thank you, AJ. And thank you, John, for presenting, and Chief Duke too. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
At each meeting, we do recognize a champion of character, and a person can be nominated for any exhibiting good character that has significantly improved the health, safety, or the quality of life of the community. Any of the 49 different qualities can be considered for a champion of character. Anyone in Shawnee County can be nominated by completing the nomination form and emailing it to me at jwilson@safestreets.org. So we will have a format on our website before too long, but if you would like the nomination form, just email me and we'll be glad to provide it for you. The next slide, this is kind of just a matter of information to you. The minutes are always sent out ahead of time, but we like to put this in the PowerPoint so that it can be a matter of record. The December minutes are shown, and no action is needed for this. Our staff update, you'll see it's for 2 months since we didn't meet in January. We do have 142 neighborhood watches, and information, of course, is provided to them. Each month, we had about 4,900 people that received information. And we also email the Safe Streets Coalition members, the City Council, County Commission, and the police officers for a total of about 558 people reached there. Even though the retailers and IFO meeting was not held in December or January, we still send information to them. So 68 people were reached by that email. As you can see, we have different Facebook pages up. Lock it, remove it, or lose it, of course, is to remove items from your vehicle so they won't be stolen. There were 352 people reached there. National Night Out, Facebook, of course, that's for our planning and events, and 130 were reached there. Now you'll notice that not other information is provided for National Night Out at this time, but I just received a notice that National Association of Town Watch is still planning for August, so more information will be sent out on that. If the COVID still proceeds in the wrong direction, they'll go ahead and pivot to October date. So we're still planned for August the 7th, but I'll send out more information. On the Safe Streets Coalition Facebook, we did have 3,223 people reached. And of course, that Facebook page gives more information on meetings or trainings and just general information. We, on our, well, even though we can't meet in person, we do receive emails and calls for services. So during those 2 months, we had 495 people that reached out, and we provided services to them. So if you ever have any questions, still email. We'll be glad to call you or get back with you. Now, on the substance abuse, initiatives, we did have a substance abuse task force meeting by Zoom. In fact, there were 3 meetings for a total of 20 people reached there. And our media, the CARS Facebook page, we had a good number there, 20,360 people viewed our Facebook page. Now on the Latino initiatives, of course, Irene, she's really busy and she attended 2 trainings in December. And then also on the Facebook page, there were 4,633 people. So people are still reaching out to be on our Facebook pages and to catch up with all the safety and training information there. Next, we have the crime stats, and I believe probably Sergeant Mike Burns will speak to us about the crime stats. Mike?
Thanks, Judy. I am Sergeant Mike Burns. I'm one of the 2 sergeants in our community policing unit for the Topeka Police Department. Sergeant Dan had a late night last night, so he could not join us tonight. For our city violent crime, we are down across the board, which is excellent news from the same time period as 2020. So we're hoping that crime is going to continue to go forth into 2021. Judy, if you want to go to the next slide.
Okay.
And then city property crimes also down for the most part across the board. Burglaries to commercial buildings are up, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. But everything else is down, so that's a good trend as well from what we started off in 2020. So one of the main 2 crimes that are occurring kind of in the city, and it's just not a city problem, it's also in the county and nationwide, are catalytic converter thefts. We put some information out there on our social media pages. If you don't know what a catalytic converter, it's part of your exhaust system. If you think of a body of a vehicle, you're going to have your exhaust pipe leading into your muffler, and then right behind that, towards the middle of your car, is going to be your catalytic converter. The reason why these are being stolen so much is the value of just scrapping them is quite high right now. Locally, we're seeing anywhere from $5 to $10 to $500 a piece that you can go scrap these at or sell them in a secondary market. So this piece of auto is definitely nationwide trend continuing. The Topeka Police Department has made some arrests involving those types of thefts, as well as people that we've targeted as people involved in that. But again, it's just not a city issue. It's going out in the county and everywhere. One of the things that we're seeing for the most part targeted is higher lifted vehicles. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes for somebody to come in and cut that piece off your exhaust, and then they're gone. So lower sitting vehicles are trended not to be hit as much because somebody sliding in has less room to work. And so how to combat those, obviously it's difficult because of the time frame, it's so short, but we go back to SEPTED ideas. You know, you're going to want to have lighting, you're going to want to have good visibility lines. You want to have your vehicle seen by the public. That way, if somebody's driving by or a neighbor looks and somebody's around your vehicle, they can call us. Make sure, your vegetation on the property is well maintained as well. And going into business burglaries, which are up a little bit. As I stated, Sergeant Wilson had a late last night. Some of our community police officers made an arrest with a person that did multiple business burglaries throughout the last month and maybe even into the summer. So we had targeted an individual after working with our community partners, kind of doing some legwork, and then our detectives also helped out. So we found that individual last night. So very excited that. And then our community officers, Dan and I also worked a vehicle burglary in January. And SSO helped us out because he lived in the county. And so we're able to solve that one as well. So that was a lot of our focus right now. now we have Chief Brian Wheelis taking over from Chief Cocker, and the transition's been very smooth. And he hit the ground running and is having a positive effect in the department. And we all believe in the direction we're going. And we're very excited to have him as our chief right now. Again, as kind of COVID's been making lives a little difficult. Not a lot of community events going on right now. We try to get out in the public as much as possible, but COVID's kind of halted that, as Judy touched on. So we're hoping, by this summer, things will start going in a favorable direction, and we can start getting out into more community events, going to more festivals and a lot of those quality of life events that the city puts on. That's really what I have for now. If anybody has any questions for me. Excellent. Thanks, Judy.
Thank you for doing that, Mike. Next, we have Deputy Abigail Christian. She's the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office Public Relations Deputy, and she'll give us an update. Abigail?
Thanks, Judy. Like Judy said, my name's Abigail Christian, and I'm the Public Relations Deputy for the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. I'll be speaking on behalf of Brian Hill, Sheriff, today. All right, we'll go to that first slide, and we're just going to talk a little bit about some safety tips for burglaries. We hope that all of you had a wonderful and safe holiday season and that your New Year's off to a great start. Just last week, our deputies responded to 4 different addresses within a time period of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. that were burglarized in an area out in the county. So we just want to take this time to remind our citizens about a few safety tips to help deter those burglars. Just always remember to lock your doors, whether that's your house, your car, your business, your garage, shed, whatever it is. Make sure you lock the doors to make it just a little bit more difficult to get inside. Keep your windows closed and secured. If you can, invest in some security cameras or systems that'll help notify you if someone is on your property that shouldn't be. Install some outdoor lighting to make sure that your neighbors can help see what's going on as well. Place your valuables out of sight, whether that's in your car, put it in the trunk, or in your home, put things in safes. And lastly, call 911 if you see something suspicious. We are always ready to get out there and help and catch those burglars. We appreciate your assistance in keeping our community, both people and property, safe. Sheriff Hill has several new initiatives in order that are very proactive, and we're trying to catch as many people as we can. All right, we'll go ahead to that next slide, please. With the inclement weather that's still among us, we just want to remind our citizens of a few safety tips for the road. I believe we've got some rain, if not some snow, in the near future. So just remember, don't use your cruise control when the roadways are wet. Avoid any quick braking or acceleration. Always keep an emergency kit in your vehicle, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. Slow down so you can increase your distance between vehicles when the roadways are wet. Inform your family members and your friends of your route of travel, and that way if something were to happen to you, they know that they are expecting you. They can reach out for some assistance. Make sure your vehicle's in good mechanical order. Buckle up and ensure that all children are in proper safety seats inside your vehicle. Seatbelts save lives. Make sure you dress for the conditions, whether that be a coat, hat, gloves, have a blanket in the car, that sort of thing. And make sure that all your turn signals, brake lights, and windows and mirrors are clear of any snow or ice so that you can see what's going on around you. Please remember to drive safely and get home to your families each and every day. All right, we'll go to that next slide. And with this winter weather still on our mind, we just want to encourage our citizens to create some sort of emergency kit for your vehicle. The emergency kit does not have to be anything fancy or expensive, but here are just a few of the key items that you might want to have on hand. It's always a good idea to have a first aid kit, jumper cables, ice scraper, blankets like we just talked about, flashlights, food and water. Those are the items that you want to have. You'll never know when you might need some of those. and we'll go ahead to that last slide. As always, we are going to continue at the Sheriff's Office to serve and protect our citizens, as well as ensure the safety and security of our community. That is always our highest priority. If you guys have any questions or need anything, please reach out to us. On this screen, you can see our social media, and I ask that you go check it out. We just posted yesterday a few pictures of an individual and a vehicle that may be related to some burglaries that we've had recently. So take a look, let us know, or Crime Stoppers know if you happen to recognize the person or the vehicle. Thank you so much for your time today, and please reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns that we can help with. Thank you.
Thanks, Abigail. Next, Michelle Voth, Executive Director of Prevention Resiliency Services, will introduce our speaker, City Manager Brent Trout.
I hate it when it's muted and you forget. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and I'm especially happy to have Brent Trout, our city manager, here today. And we thought it was fitting at the beginning of the year, our first Safe Streets Coalition meeting, to have him talk a little bit about the city and plans for 2021. And I want to give you a little background because some of you may or may not know some of our city manager's background, and it's quite extensive. He's been here since October of 2017, and he served as city manager in 4 other cities in Iowa prior to coming here in Topeka. He's got a BA in public administration from Drake University and a master's in public administration as well from Drake. And he served 29 years. I thought this was interesting, in the Iowa National Guard, retiring at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in 2015. So thank you for your service. I think we all would agree to that. His time in military service included tours overseas in 1990 for Desert Storm and again in 2004 for Iraqi Freedom. He's married, has 2 sons and 3 stepdaughters, and we're pleased to have you here, City Manager Trout, to talk to us about the city and anything you want to talk about. So take it away, and thank you for joining us today.
All right. Well, thank you, Michelle. Excited to be here. This is one organization that I started participating in when I first came to town, and it's been a good group to be able to stay engaged with. I haven't been able to make as many of the meetings based on some activities that have happened, especially after COVID. So with this process, our governing body has had a habit of getting together at the beginning of the year and talking about their goals and priorities that they have for our government. We met last January and kind of went through that. There were quite a few new members. And so from that discussion, kind of went a little bit different direction. And we've really actually developed our vision, our strategic goals, much more than we have in the past. And ironically, we had a discussion item on the agenda last night for the governing body to consider these. There are a lot of detail to it, but I'm going to try and cover it more at a high level and then answer any questions you may have regarding the city in order for us to not go too long. These goals and priorities are probably more 10-year aspirational vision goals, and there's a lot of work that will take place over time for them. We have 5 main strategic goals that were developed. The first one is health, wellness, hope, and opportunity. And it seems like a lot, but a lot of it relates to really just looking at our citizens in our community and making sure that they have the support they need in order to be successful. The actual language reads, implement a comprehensive set of programs that will provide affordable housing, improved health and wellness for residents, a safe community, and opportunity for employment and education for all residents. Very overarching, but basically it says we want a wonderful community for people to be a part of, and we're going to do the best we can with different programs the city has available or working with other partners in order to be able to support their ability to be able to accomplish those things for our residents. The second one is grow a vibrant, prideful, prosperous, and inclusive community. And so in this area, we're really looking to try and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to be able to make a living, to have a good position for a job in the community. And so I guess the actual language reads, develop a community that has a vibrant and prideful attitude about its future, that includes prosperity for all residents, an inclusive community that has participation from all sectors of the community and creates a positive image to others outside of our city. And those last couple of points really are something that are new, wanting to make sure that we have an inclusive community, that we're inviting everyone to the table and giving everyone a seat at the table to be a part of the decision making and then also the implementation of various things in our city. And so that all are seeing it as a positive growth. And then the other thing is sometimes we don't talk about ourselves enough in a positive way. There are a lot of good things that are happening in Topeka. And so we need to make sure that we're putting the good information out that we have in order to show people the positive image and outstanding city that we are. The third item is a balanced economic development, or in parentheses, it says grow a vibrant economy. So in those types of situations, we have a number of things that we can do in order to help support business and industry coming to the community. And so we try to make sure that we're providing that type of support to our business and industry. We work directly with Greater Topeka Partnership on a lot of things. The actual language reads, support the growth of existing business and industry in our city and recruit new quality industry to our city that will create new jobs. New jobs will lead to population growth and revitalize our community and neighborhoods. So that's, it's twofold. We want to make sure that we're providing support for our existing business and industry to make sure that they continue to be successful. If they're ready to grow, that we're able to assist them in that process. But we also know that sometimes we have opportunities to recruit new business and industry to our city, and we want to make sure that we're providing them an opportunity with various incentives to be able to do so. That job growth has positive effects in other parts of our city. It allows people to be able to purchase homes, to make other purchases that improve their quality of life, so forth, and that their family can then grow and be successful. And so that's a very important part, providing that growth and vibrant economy. The fourth one is build public trust through efficient and effective mission-focused government service provision. That's really a lot of what I do and working with the rest of the city staff along the way. We have certain programs that we do that affect people's lives, and we want to make sure, though, that we're doing those in the best possible way that we can in order to make sure that we're providing the service level people expect of our city. So we've been working hard on that. The actual language reads, the provision of quality government administration and programs will be a priority of the elected and appointed officials of the city of Topeka. The provision of service for our businesses, industries, and citizens will be continually evaluated to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. Quality customer service will be the standard for all administration and program implementation. So really focusing on the fact that we want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can and providing our services to the community. And that's really very, very important to this governing body. Trying to, continue to provide programs like SeeClickFix, other types of ways for people to be available to citizens to be able to answer. So that's part of it. The last one is continual improvement in infrastructure. We've worked hard over the last few years, especially to develop a capital improvement program that is taking care of the needs of the city, especially in the areas of utilities and streets, but also looking at our city buildings and trying to make sure that we're accomplishing the work that we need so that that infrastructure is taken care of. We're an old city, and so we have old infrastructure, and it takes a lot of money, but it also takes a lot of coordination to make sure that we're dealing with things the best we can. The goal that the governing body set out a while back was that our pavement condition index, which is a measure of how good our streets are, desire to be at 70 as a minimum, and then strive to attain a score of 70. And we've been moving up about a point every year. I think the last report that I read, we were at 56. whereas we started, I believe, at 50, 51. So we've made some good progress. But when you think of it, there are hundreds and hundreds of miles of roadway, and it takes time to get all of those to be successful. I'll read the investment in our infrastructure will continue to ensure that our service provision and the appearance of our community is improved. Development of safe streets, quality water, and the proper handling of wastewater are critical functions of our government that must be supported with proper funding. City facilities will be updated to ensure all services are accessible to residents. And so, as I mentioned already, it's key for us is to make sure that that infrastructure is in as good a condition as possible. When we're able to do that, that reduces stress on our operating budget. The less potholes we have to fill, the fewer water main breaks that we have to deal with because we're replacing the poor infrastructure there, the less costs we have for operating, and we can spend more time maintaining. And so I think that's an important aspect of it. Underneath each of these main goals are a number of different specific things that the governing body has identified as how we get to that. And so we're still refining some of those things, and it would be a lot longer conversation for us. So I guess at this point, I'll open it up for any questions that people may have.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing the vision and goals, and that was timely. You had a meeting last night. I know you've been working on these for some time, and want to express our appreciation for your leadership. A lot has changed since 2017 when you arrived here, so we appreciate that. But any questions that you would have of City Manager Trout? Don't all speak at once.
Brad, I would just like to say that we really appreciate all the hard work you do and all the staff at the city to make our city safe and prosperous. Really appreciate that. So anything that we can do, as a partner to help you, just always let us know.
Oh, most definitely. I will.
I know we do hope that we can do National Night Out this next August, and we'll be able to ride on the bus again as we've done in the past. But that's yet to be determined, and that has presented challenges for everyone. And I know you might speak about how COVID has impacted the city and work and all that kind of thing, because I know it's impacted everyone.
It has. We still have a number of employees that we're having work remotely. A lot of our support staff members and some of our HR, finance, legal departments have been able to work remotely, but we can't do that with all positions. Police officers, firefighters, our street crews, or utility crews, they have to still be out there on the street doing their job. And so we've had to implement a variety of safety features early on. Initially, when we didn't know as much, we actually rotated, split for example, our street crews in half. And 1 week they worked and the other week they were home because we weren't sure how much. Now we've learned and we know what we can do in order to keep that down to a minimum. And right now we're doing pretty good. Our numbers are not that high. I think I have 5 that are tested positive that are out right now. But we were up in the upper 30s at the worst part of this, and it put a cramp in certain departments for their ability to do the work. So we're glad to see that those numbers are coming back in line. And right now we're in a pretty good spot. We were able to get some money through the federal government CARES Act, funneled through the state, through the county to us, and we've been able to start making some purchases, such as some additional information technology equipment to allow people to work from home better. We're making changes within our buildings to make them safer so there's fewer touch points. We're going to be making some improvements in the workspaces that they have. As simple things as Chief Wheelis has detectives that sit in a cubicle and they're all close to each other. putting up dividers between their workspaces so that it's a lot harder for disease such as this to be transmitted. And, those will be good things that we'll handle, even after COVID will help us, because I always have issues with flu season. So all of these improvements that we're making will help carry over into flu season protections as well. We're excited at what direction. We learned a lot, and we just continue to try and make those changes and efficiencies. We're looking at a number of software improvements that will help us. Things such as being able to electronically sign documents and route them much faster than we ever have in the past. Instead of shuffling paper, it's going to be sending it by email to get signatures, or going and logging in and signing a document. And so there's going to be some real good things that change in the way we do business in the long run. And I'm excited to see those changes. And it's not been easy at times, but we've been able to get our way through it.
I think we've all had to learn by doing and figuring out and pivoting where we could, and everybody's had different challenges, I know.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions or concerns that you want to bring up? I guess the other question I might have is, are there any new projects that you can talk about, or things that you'd like to share with us?
I think one of the things that we're still finishing up is the biogas project out at our wastewater treatment plant. It's kind of a neat project. We're going to be only the second in the state, and maybe another dozen or so around the country, where the gas that we normally would flare off that comes from our processes for treating our wastewater was basically just burned and put into the atmosphere. And now we're going to capture it, we're going to clean it up, and we're actually going to ship it through a pipeline into the natural gas system and be resold. And so something that right now we simply waste is going to make us money and become more sustainable for our community, putting that out there and helping to pay for a part of the process. It's not cheap, but the return on investment is less than 10 years for this system, and it'll go for 30 or 40 years before we have to do any major rehaul of the system. And so in the long run, it's really going to help control rates and allows us to do more improvements to the community. So we're excited about that project. There are a number of major streets that are going to be redone. We're right now looking at 12th Street is a major one from Kansas to Gage that's coming up. We've got a few others. California from 37th to 45th is coming up. So there's some major street projects that we're excited to see finally coming on board to be let and constructed in the next year.
That's great. Any other comments? I know we have Interim Chief Wheelis on, wanted to say hello to you and see if you had anything to say or questions.
Well, I thank you for that opportunity. I think the city manager hit on a big thing. Although we clearly would never want to go through what we've gone through with the pandemic and stuff, it certainly has. We've learned a lot of valuable lessons on how to make the operations more efficient. It certainly has put some focus more on the health aspects of our work environments. And so I think there's some positive lessons that we learned. And I don't think there's any way that the work environment will ever go back to what it was before. And that's a good thing, largely. The second thing I wanted to point out, it was a great job, and you guys will see a media release, but you're getting the information first. Sergeant Wilson, who I know you guys are very familiar with from his efforts here with Safe Streets, was out doing his other part of his job and arrested a serial business burglar that we've been looking for a while. So it was very, very good timing from that point too. But I think I would echo what the city manager has to say. There's a lot of good things going on in the city. 2021 coming out of where we were at in 2020 is going to be nothing but a good experience for us all. And I think we're all excited to get started. And the best thing that I can ever hear from my troops is that I hit the ground running because that's the only thing I know how to do. So that's what I'm about. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk about that.
Well, I didn't grow up in Topeka. I know some of you did and some of you didn't, but I moved here in 1984, and the the Civic Theater, was different back in the day. And when where TPAC used to be the Municipal Auditorium, and that's where the circus was. And for those of you who have been around a while, you and I'm sure it would agree, Topeka has changed dramatically in the last few years and really moving forward. And it's a testament to the leadership and city council and county commissioners that are moving forward, and a lot of the really forward thinkers with the NOTO. And so just want to say appreciation to any of you that have been involved in that process, because it certainly has made a big change in this community, and we've got exciting things coming forward. So thank you again, City Manager. And
Michelle, could I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
Hey, I just want to tell you guys, and I think I would echo this for the city manager too. We appreciate all of the positive feedback on the city leadership and the police department, but nothing gets done without community members that care about their community, and nothing has a more historical value than Safe Streets. So before we ended the call, I just wanted to say, as much as you guys have been heaping, we want to thank you. You all have other things that you could be doing. You've chose to be here and make this a priority. And so I didn't want to end the call without saying that the city leadership and the police department specifically, we appreciate the efforts of Safe Streets.
Well, we appreciate you saying that, and the partnerships going forward. We look forward to looking at how we can improve. And that's something that we always want to hear feedback from you all. What can we do different? How can we engage folks in a different way? And so I think COVID has also made us all look at things differently, and should do that continuing going forward. So thank you for your comments. And again, City Manager Trout, thanks for coming today. Appreciate your comments and taking time in your busy schedule, because I know that it's a very busy one. So appreciate your time. And
Thank you.
one day we'll be able to get together face to face and have lunch together, we hope.
Yes.
If there are any other questions, I have actually a favor to ask of many of you. Carla Hedquist, who is with Stormont Vale, was not able to join us today, but to address the needs of the community, Stormont Vale, Heartland Healthy Neighborhood, and the Shawnee County Health Department need your input. Every 2 years, a survey is distributed that helps the county determine what are the priorities for the next community health improvement plan. And this is the time frame when a survey is being distributed and input is being solicited throughout the county. In the last community health improvement plan, behavioral health, access to food, health equity, and for the first time, substance abuse, all of those were listed as priority areas. And what happened after that is different groups got together and started working and developing strategies related to those key priorities. So now it's time to look again, get feedback from the community, and they have developed a short online survey that's both in Spanish and English, and we're asking all of you, as many as you can, to complete that survey. And what we will do is email that out, the link. It takes about 10 minutes to complete, and all responses are confidential. So feel free to share that broadly. We want to get as many community members to provide input, because that will really determine some of the activities and the action steps that are taken related to the health and wellness of the community. So I wanted to put a pitch out for those groups that are organizing that. And again, Judy will send out those links. And the deadline for completing the survey is February 28th. So you have almost a month. So anyway, would appreciate your feedback on that. And then I'll give it back to Judy.
Okay. Well, we do really appreciate you attending our Safe Streets Coalition meeting today. And as Michelle mentioned, and I mentioned earlier, you will receive a YouTube link, and also a survey will be in that email, as well as the information that Michelle just mentioned. And we would appreciate it if you would complete the survey and return it to us as soon as you could. Again, thank you for attending today, and that concludes our February meeting. Thanks very much.